Hi, and welcome back to Blue's Garden, transplanting my onion seedlings outside. I start my onions from seeds usually around the beginning of February, early February, and I'm growing six different varieties this year. I plant my onions in 25-gallon grow bags, 1/3 peat, 1/3 compost, and 1/3 soil that's been refreshed from last year's bags. I start with a big bucket of water and my onion seedlings. This bunch are red-beard bunching onion. Now, what I do the morning of is I actually water them pretty deeply so the plugs are pretty moist. I will take each plug, and since they're bunching onion, they can be in groups, and I will put them into the grow bags, trying to keep the top level of the soil of the plug with the same as the top of the bag. Basically, keep them planted to the same depth. And again, you see me, I'm just pulling the plugs out, leave a little bit of room between each of the bunching onion and the next plug, and just keep plugging away, for lack of a better word. And eventually it's done. You've got them all transplanted. Next up, I will be doing my Tokyo Long White bunching onion, similar to the red-beard bunching. Again, these were moistened pretty well in the morning. The big difference is I didn't have these in individual plugs, so this one I'm going to have to do a little extra teasing apart. And basically all I'm going to do is just pull the onion seedlings into little groups, and then I will plant them as little bunches of onion, thus the bunching onions. Bunching onions, by the way, means there really is no bulbing. And I use these quite a bit in cooking and dehydrating. And again, I'm going to place these bunches, give them room to grow between, and keep them in little groupings so they have their little bunches. And again, trying to keep them planted to the same level so that the tops of the onion are at the top of the soil in the grow bags. They're very easy to tease apart, by the way. You just gently pull apart. As long as the water, the soil that they're in is moistened enough. And I do that by watering it thoroughly in the morning. Right before I am transplanting it out. And just keep going. Go until you're done with all of your, sorry for the pun, keep plugging away until all of the onions are planted. And that's it for the Tokyo White Long bunching onion. Next up, red Wethersfield. Same thing. These guys are in my 1/3 compost, 1/3 peat, 1/3 soil from last year with the refreshed soil. I add some bone meal, and that's how I refresh. And again, I watered them thoroughly in the morning. And now I'm going to, as opposed to the others, I'm going to plant these all individually because these are a bulbing onion. And I want them to have plenty of room to size up. I'm just breaking the big batch apart into smaller groupings and placing them in the water. When you thoroughly soak them in the water, it actually makes it much easier to tease them apart. Soaking them in, I will rinse them off enough to get most of the dirt out, and that makes it easy to tease the individual onions apart. It's probably a little silly. I didn't really need to lay them all out. Just individually tease them apart, carefully pull them apart. And then the technique I use for planting bulbing onions is dig really deep, put them as far down as you can, and then pull them back up so that the roots are now vertical, pointing straight down. I pull them back up so that the roots now lie straight up and down. And once I get the small bulb, and you'll see if you grow from seedling, get that small bulb back to the same level it was right at the top of the soil, you know that you're at the correct level. Dig deep, pull the roots up so that they're flat and that the tiny bulb is at the surface of the grow bag or the surface of your garden plot. See right there, just pull it up so that it's now at the top. Now, I have so many seedlings that I can afford to be a little selective and pick the larger with more roots. More roots is the more important thing. But pick the largest of my seedlings with the better root development. That gives it more of a chance of surviving and growing out. So I will pick the largest ones I can, pull them, dig a deep, pull that bulb up so that it's at the correct level of the soil, and do my best to get good soil to onion root contact. Dig deep, drop it in, pull the roots level, upright, vertical, and get the bulb at the level of the soil. And before you know it, red Wethersfield are done. It's a nice big red bulbing onion. I've had some good success last year. This is my second year of growing them. Next up is the Utah Yellow. I planted a ton of Utah Yellow seeds, and I've actually got 2 of these packages of Utah Yellow. I'm doing the same thing. I'm going to break this apart and put the bunches into the water, and that makes it easier to separate the individual seedlings, the individual onions. I cook with a lot of Utah yellow onion. I cook with plenty of yellow onion. So that's why I planted twice as many of these seeds as normal. I don't know what I was thinking. I don't have enough room to plant them all. I'm only doing one of the 25-gallon grow bags of the yellow, and I'm just going to have to find other places to put the onion in. Similar to the red Wethersfield, I will separate them out and try and select the largest or the onion seedlings with the biggest amount of roots. I think the roots is the most important thing. And again, similar to the other bulbing onion, the red Wethersfield, really deep, pull it up so that the bulb is back at the surface level of the dirt in the grow bag. Really deep, drop it in, pull it up so that the roots are now vertical, and pull it back to the correct level so that you're back at ground level essentially. Dig deep, drop the roots in, pull it up so that it's now vertical, and then just keep going. Keep plugging away. I'm going to keep making that jokes until you guys laugh. Dig deep, drop it in, pull it vertical. Utah Yellow. It's a sweet yellow onion, and it's got a smaller size. It's not a huge onion, but I cook so many of them, I can plant a little more densely, and hopefully I'll figure out another place. I mean, maybe after all is said and done and I'm done with all my planting, I'll have an extra 25-gallon and do a whole additional 25-gallon of them. I think if I had in-ground plots, I would end up doing a very large row of the Utah Yellow. Last up, the Pompeii White. Now, I had very little seed left, so this is a relatively small amount of onion. In fact, I'm only going to get about half the grow bag, the 25 grow bag. Pompeii White is a smaller white cooking onion. And I cook a lot with the red and the yellow, only a little bit with the white, but occasionally there's a time when I need a bright white, smaller onion, like when I do roast vegetables and there's a small white onion in there. There's a need for it once in a while. Anyway, same thing. I will be as selective as I can, but I also want to make sure I get some return on the Pompeii White. This is going to end up being half of a grow bag of the Pompeii White. And then I had so much extra of the red Wethersfield, that I ended up planting more red Wethersfield in half of this grow bag. Red is definitely my favorite in terms of cooking and for presentation. So, in fact, I've got, not on this video, but I've got an entire other 25-gallon grow bag of a red Burgundy, which is a slightly smaller red than the Wethersfield, with a shorter time to harvest. So red is definitely a big one. So, but these are now all the reds that were left over that I'm now adding in there. So half of this bag is the Pompeii White and half of it is the red. And then at the very end, water it all in. That's the white, sorry, the Redbeard bunching. That's the white, Tokyo Long White bunching onion. And then it was red Wethersfield. Utah Yellow was the next. And last was the half bag of Pompeii White and red Wethersfield. These smaller bags will end up being peppers. And you can sort of see the potatoes going in the background. Next, all you have to do is wait for it to grow, harvest it, and then I will braid the onion, and that's how I save them, braided and hanging. Please share this video, it really helps. Thanks, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more Blues Garden tips.